Welcome to the Paul Farrington Show. Paul joined by Jack Weinberger, Robert Ziggy Ziegler. Little NFC North conversation today, guys. We touched on all these games in the Week 2 reaction. Ziggy and I had a separate Bears and Texans reaction that came out late on Sunday night. But now we're going to do our day after, our hangover spot where we've had some time to process. Right after the games the other day, I'm all jacked up because the Lions have lost. The Vikings just beat the 49ers. Green Bay looked good even without Jordan Love. So we're going off all these emotions. It's good for us to take a second, sit back, breathe, and say, okay, like what's really going on in the black and blue division here? And I'm still pretty excited, not going to lie, after a win like that.
I mean, how could you not be? You just knocked off the defending top seed in the NFC, 2-0.
Hell yeah.
Detroit lost the game at home. Green Bay lost the game as well. Jordan Love is unhealthy, and the Bears are the worst team in the world. So, but yeah, if I'm a Vikings fan, there's a million reasons to be happy right now.
So we're going to go team by team here. We'll start with the Vikings and that 23-17 win over the San Francisco 49ers. Yep, score, baby, score. It's awesome. Didn't have to use the Norsebrick. That was great. And one of the, I think that I said it as my biggest regret, or one of my biggest regrets of the season so far in my predictions. The Brian Flores defense, everyone can talk about Sam Darnold, but this defense is flying all over the field. Sack Sam
it's
Darnold.
So fast. That's the thing, right? It's like last year, Brian Flores didn't have personnel control, right? So he was trying to take whoever was there and make them work. You finally see the vision Brian Flores has, a bunch of fast young guys running all over the place, making plays. And like he says, right, they're not thinking about it. They're just playing on instinct. Josh Metellus, Ivan Pace is all over the field. Dallas Turner looked good, even though he had a dumb punt coverage mistake. The defense has looked really, really good. They got to Brock Purdy 6 times to bring him down, actually. I mean, they got to him a lot more than that. And this is kind of the benefit in some ways of, for everyone who wanted to keep Kirk Cousins, how many of those guys? Are you bringing in Van Ginkel? Are you bringing in Cashman? Are you bringing in Grenard? Are you bringing in Stephon Gilmore? Like, there's a lot of new faces here. And at some point, when you have a quarterback of like Kirk eating up so much of the salary cap, there are cuts here and there. So you see the benefit when Sam Darnold's playing as well as he's playing, and the defense is flying around with all these new guys. Like that's the vision. That's the dream. That's why you go after the rookie quarterback, so you could stack the rest of the team. And through 2 weeks, I'm trying not to believe, because that is when you get crushed. But it's hard not to look at them and say that they're a legitimate contender.
They look hungry and determined. I mean, we were just talking last week how we were impressed, I guess more so shocked, by a defense as good as the New York Jets getting absolutely destroyed by San Francisco, all the weapons they have. And now the following week, just 6 short days later, they go on the road to Minnesota, a team who nobody's really super high on because they just beat the Giants. And Minnesota, for the most part, shuts them out.
And 7 points through 3 quarters.
Like, it shuts them out. And that's a good point, because I'm talking about Sam Darnold all week, and I guess for a good reason, but both sides of the ball, this thing could be pretty dangerous.
It is exciting to have a Vikings team where it feels like things are different. Will they be better than the Kirk Cousins years? I don't know, but this team is so different. It's just refreshing to watch things go differently. Again, right? Like you saw what looked like it was going to be a typical Vikings ending, right? We have a horrible fumble, and then we have Sam Darnold interception. Like, a lot of things went wrong against the 49ers, but I think partly because this team is young and confident and isn't stuck with the Vikings of past that you and I know so well. They're free to do their own thing. And when the time came down to it, they had to make plays. They had to extend a drive. Sam Darnold was able to get it done. The defense was able to get it done. And that was a huge assignment.
Yeah, I know that Sam Darnold is still the quarterback, and that Sam has these plays. He had a bad interception. He has moments where you just go, no, please no. And that completely...
He also throws a 97-yard touchdown pass.
Yeah, he also did that. So, this is, so far through 2 weeks, we all were wondering if Sam Darnold would look the best he's ever looked with the weapons that the Vikings have. I think the answer so far is a resounding yes. This is a different player than we've seen his entire career. And who knows, maybe he comes crashing back down to earth. But they're only going to add Jordan Addison. They're only going to add TJ Hawkinson.
as they continue to add these pieces, I'm very excited to see what can happen. Not like if you're saying how much do I believe 1 to 10, I'm probably at like a 5. I'm right in the middle there. I'm not ready to go all in, but I'm also not doubting them anymore. So I tweeted out, they were up 6 with about 10 minutes left in the game, and everything was going wrong. We had the fumble, we had the 99-yard touchdown drive we let up. Like, it was all a disaster. Jefferson was hurt. I wrote Sam Darnold goes on 14 plays, 62-yard drive, eating up 7 minutes for a field goal, converting massive third downs without Jefferson, Addison, Hockenson, or Aaron Jones on the field. Like, best drive of his career.
That's remarkable.
Arguably right there.
I mean, he only has time to prove himself even more with Houston and the Jets coming up too.
Yeah, so I feel good that if they beat Houston, watch out for the reaction show on Sunday.
If they beat Houston, it might be like all systems.
If they beat Houston, could you imagine the lead up to the Week 4 game against the Packers?
That might be all systems go.
I mean, there might be lives every weeknight where we're getting ready for Packers 3-0 Vikings going into maybe 2-1 Packers if they beat the Titans and Jordan Love returns.
How can I go to that game?
I mean, that could be an all systems go. Like we're flying out.
I think we might have to.
Okay, you know what? We were going to do the Lions next, but we're talking about the Packers. So why don't we just go on to the Packers? Let me just pull them up here on. I just want to make sure I have the statistics for that game.
Can I get my one hater comment out of the way, and then we can talk about this team?
Please, yes.
All throughout our comments this week, people have been telling me that Malik Willis is going to be the next great thing. Then this game happens, and I walk away thinking, okay, they had a game plan. They didn't trust Malik Willis to throw the ball. I don't care if he's only been there for 19 days. He threw the ball 14 times. And I get the game plan worked, and that's fine. But suddenly, the comments like Malik Willis will be one of the best backups in the NFL. Malik Willis has proved himself. Open the Tom Clements wing of the Hall of Fame, which I said he had to do if Malik Willis showed that he was an NFL starting level QB. It was a good win for the Packers. Don't get me wrong, right? It's nice to win a game. It's good that they had a game plan that made sense. But Paul, you and I have been talking about this. People are acting like Malik Willis put on some incredible performance and was a great quarterback. He was good enough to win the game, which is good, right? Like, that's what you want out of a backup quarterback. But I wasn't all that impressed with him, and I think the Packers should be getting Jordan Love back as soon as possible.
Listen. So I rewatched the game this morning. I really wanted to take a look at what you were saying versus what we were saying versus what the viewers and the Packers fans were saying. And Malik Willis did as well a job as he possibly could of what the Packers asked him to do. Like, that is the takeaway. They asked him to complete a short handful of difficult throws, like maybe 3 or 4 throws. He threw basically nothing over the middle of the field. Everything went to the side. Everything was short. He had maybe 3. One of them was the pass to Wicks, was really nice. The Dobbs catch, good to go downfield. But Dobbs made a spectacular play. That ball actually probably should have been intercepted. But for what they asked Malik Willis to do, he took care of the ball, didn't make mistakes, and he converted the easy throws. Like, that was it. And for the game plan, you have to be very happy with that. Because the Colts were getting gashed on the ground. Josh Jacobs was running right through them. They got ran through the week before. I mean, 15 of their first 16 plays were runs. I was sitting upstairs drinking coffee this morning, watching the game, laughing at how the Packers, all they did was just run down their throat. It was comical.
And against one of the worst run defenses in the league, you can do this.
Oh, you can do that. And I think Matt LaFleur deserves a lot of credit because they were getting creative too. It was Willis. It was reverses to Reed. It was Jacobs all over the place. Like, they did a really good job of beating the Colts the way that you can beat the Colts without Jordan Love. But Malik did not. Credit to him for how he played. He played really well. But there's not much to take away from his performance. You're not comfortable with Malik Willis going forward if he had to play 5 more weeks.
It reminded me of how the Steelers win games. Low scoring, kind of ugly. Play defense, don't turn the ball over, and find yourself coming top 16-10. And a lot of the fans in our comments, I've been seeing that as well. Ziggy are saying how they're big on Malik Willis and he's the next big thing, but it doesn't matter because Jordan Love is coming back soon.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. You have Malik Willis is doing what he has to do, and that's just win you the game. And he, like you said, Paul, he was fine enough.
He was awesome. He was great for what they asked him to do.
Right,
he was tons of credit to Malik Willis.
He was great for what he needed to do. He won the game. He might play one more week. Then you get your superstar quarterback back
to get blown out by the Vikings.
Right. As big favorites.
Just messing around here. No, I thought, and really what you have to look at if you're a Packer fan, after the performance they had against Philly the second half, where that Eagles offense just marching up and down the field, whatever they wanted to do. They went on that huge drive to essentially end the game. Now Anthony Richardson comes in after an explosive week. That's what we talked about in the reaction show, how explosive the Colts were against Houston. And the Colts are sloppy. They made Richardson uncomfortable. He threw an interception. He fumbled at one point. He was able to recover, but it was bad throws. Like the Packer defense got after it. They only allowed 10 points here. It was a great showing from the Packer defense.
They did a lot better than the Texans defense.
Yeah, way better than what the Texans defense did against the Colts. And a lot of people are talking about the Texans defense today after what they did against Chicago, like they're one of the better ones in the league. So I think Packers fans can sit back and say, they should have been up 17-0 before the Josh Jacobs fumble. Like they had control of that game the entire way through. Defense looked awesome. Run game was legit. Josh Jacobs, you have to be, even though you love Aaron Jones, you have to feel really good about Josh Jacobs in green right now. And
Aaron Jones couldn't take, how many touches did Josh Jacobs have? Like 35? He was a workhorse. Aaron Jones couldn't do that.
No, and that's why you make the switch. Like for what the Packers needed, and especially in this situation, Aaron Jones also got banged up. Like that's the fear. He got banged up at the end of the game for the Vikings. Josh Jacobs took 32 carries. Did he catch any balls? I don't think he caught anything. But you look at this. The Packers ran 53 times for 261 yards. That's insane.
Yeah, that's insane. I do think it was very big that this game happened to be in Lambeau Field, though, as well, home opener. I think it was a good spot for them. Like they've been hearing all week, right? Like how Love's down. Malik Willis is one of the worst ever. They came in with that Malik Willis, and that to me got everybody else, defense primarily, to play one step up and to rise to the occasion. It was a good Packers spot to me this week, and they host Tennessee too, right?
I believe they're at Tennessee.
Oh, they're at Tennessee.
I believe they're at Tennessee in week.
But again, 0-2, that's winnable. They're an 0-2 team that's winnable.
Oh, if they win that and then Love comes back for week 4, now you're like
there was
nothing happened.
There was no damage.
Literally nothing happened.
Yeah.
It's all good, So I think Packers fans can sit back and be very, very happy with what they saw. As long as Jordan Love is healing up, they are in very good shape.
They won. So they won the game.
Winning's hard. That's what we used to say on Shamrock Sports. Winning is hard. Let's move on here to the Lions. The Lions lose 20-16 to the Bucs, a revenge game for Tampa Bay following the divisional round game they had last year. That was a really good game too, the divisional round in the playoffs.
I was at the Lions bar.
Ziggy's gotten a lot of hate on the Bucs Lions video, primarily from Bucs fans.
Not primarily.
All right, from Bucs entirely. Because Ziggy came out and said, look, the Lions outperformed you in most ways. They outgained them 463 to 216 in total yardage, 26 first downs to 14. Basically every category Detroit won except the score. And Ziggy said, you got fortunate that Detroit went 1 for 7 scoring touchdowns in the red zone in this game. It was a very and now look, I know that what you
look, there were injuries. Of course there were. I'm not saying it's inexcusable. All I said was if they want to be Super Bowl contenders, they do need to improve.
Yeah, and so for the Bucs, I think that a great win. Detroit's a hard team to beat. We'll talk about them a lot more later on this week, probably. But for the NFC North show, we'll focus here on the Lions. That's the whole thing that the Lions fans are pointing to right now. It's like the red zone efficiency has to be better. When you get down into scoring areas, they had 3 field goals. They had the one horrendous right before halftime where they ran the clock out accident. That was the worst. Turnover on downs at the end of the game. Then Jared Goff also threw an interception. I think there might have been one more there. I'm trying to see. Am I missing one here? 3 field goals, 1 to end the half, 1 turnover on downs, 1 pick. Yeah, okay. So and then the 1 touchdown. Yes. So for Detroit, it's one that got away from you, but Jared Goff just has to be better too. Like he can't have the turnovers, can't have a lot of the missed throws. He should have had more balls picked off, I think, in that game. It showed a little weakness from a Lions team that we thought was going to kind of cruise through the first 8 weeks of the season.
It showed a little weakness, but ultimately, we all believe Tampa's a decent team. And this ended up being a 4-point game, and you were in the red zone 7 times and scored once. Like, you'd like to assume with an offense of this caliber, with this many weapons, that's not going to happen. Like that seems pretty fluky. So I mean, Detroit. I think it's just a loss. Like it's a team who is hungry for revenge, and there's no worry to me at all. Like I don't think you're going 1 for 7 again in the red zone.
No, but this does raise bigger questions about Jared Goff, especially after the huge contract they handed him. Now, again, I'm not saying like pull the plug or anything like that.
Ziggy's clarifying so Lions fans don't jump.
But I went on the. This is coming from Lions fans. I went on the SB Nation Lions page, it's called like the Pride of Detroit or whatever, and one of their authors put out a poll: how concerned are you about Jared Goff? There were 4 options: very concerned, somewhat concerned, a bit not concerned. About 2,000 responses. Only 15% put not concerned. 20% put very concerned. And now I know, right? Lions fans, they freaked out last year after, what was it? Was it the Ravens game? There was one game where Jared Goff looked really poor, and then he followed it up with a few good
Seahawks, right? Didn't they look bad against the Seahawks?
No,
Jared Goff has a few bad games every year, but they need to get better. And it's a little bit worrying that in watching this game, the problem seemed to be how much they asked Jared Goff to do. They asked him to do too much. He dropped back too much. They asked for too many throws. They asked him to do too much in the red zone. And, it's not exciting when you lose a game that you were really hoping to win. To have the biggest problem be you asked your $53 million a year quarterback to do too much. So am I worried about this team long term or this year? No, not really. But you've got to keep an eye on Jared Goff. The Lions need to have a better plan. And frankly, he just needs to play better when they ask him to do things.
Well, if you have a team, the thing that what I'm kind of taking away with Detroit right now, and I want to see it over the next few weeks, if you win the line of scrimmage on defense, if you're on defense going against that offensive line, and that offensive line is probably the best in football. Like it's hard to win. So if you're able to win that battle though, and can, control the run game, because Detroit's so scary with that Gibbs-Montgomery combination. It's probably the best in football. But if you can win at the line there and get after Goff, make him uncomfortable, like he will make some mistakes. There are games where he's just unbelievably on and you can't do anything about it, but that's when he's kept clean in the pocket. And Tampa was able to get after him a little bit and force him into uncomfortable situations. And that's when you see the Jared Goff come out. Remember the Packers last year? Remember all the turnovers early in that? Like they're hitting him. When you can hit Jared Goff, that's when he can make mistakes. None of us are raising alarms in Detroit right now.
Not at all.
Like I don't want, our good friend Tom Monroe, the Lions fan. I don't want Tom texting me like, what the hell's wrong with you? Giving up on this team.
The panic meter would be like a 2 or 3.
Yeah, it's a 2.
It's for me. It's probably a 1 for me. Honestly.
Yeah, it was nice to see Amon-Ra come back in. Aiden Hutchinson was an animal. It's just you want good Jared Goff in those situations. And Baker, give credit to Baker. Baker had a huge drive, scrambled well, moved well, made the big plays when he had to. And it just wasn't their day in Detroit. I'm
liking the involvement though of Jameson Williams a bit more here.
No, he looks awesome. No, there are a lot of positive takeaways for Detroit. And Dan Campbell's a lunatic. But like, I'm sorry, Ziggy. I know you love the decision making. I rewatched this game today as well. When he faked the punt on 4th and 12 from his own 20-yard line.
No, that's just plain aggressive.
I mean, that's insane. That's insanity. I don't know if you saw that, Jack. They were down. What was it? It was 13-6. 13-6.
And they faked their own
in the second quarter.
They faked upon their own. Yes.
But let's be clear. Dan Campbell doesn't make these decisions because it's the right thing to do. He makes them because that's the kind of guy he is.
He had the punter throw the ball for a first down, right?
The punter threw a pass, but it wasn't 4th and 3. It wasn't 4th and 5. 4th and 12 from your 20-yard line.
Well, I don't think it makes a difference. It's 4th and whatever in that situation.
I could not believe my eyes. I missed that in the reaction yesterday. I just didn't see it happen during the game. It's like, this guy is just out of his freaking mind.
That screams winner. That screams winner.
That's why they lost to San Francisco.
That screams winner.
That's why they lost to San Francisco is because
no.
But they didn't attempt a fake punt in their
his 4th down decision making.
No, they lost to San Fran because they allowed this like fluky bomb that was juggled and caught. Like that was a good comeback. It wasn't Dan Campbell.
No, it was
Dan Campbell. We talked this over enough.
Yeah. So, and to be fair to Dan Campbell, by the way, they did convert.
That's a winning move.
They did convert it.
That's playing the win. That's a winning move.
Well, yeah, it's one of the other things to watch for.
How do you hate
goes
that?
On?
You can't hate that.
Paul's a hater.
Yeah, you're a hater.
When it costs you in the big game, that's when I do. All right, let's hit the last team here. The Chicago Bears. Just a Probably, even though the Lions had a disappointing game, the Bears were by far the most disappointing NFC North team of the week in their 19-13 loss to the Texans. We were really excited to, at least Ziggy and I were, to see if Caleb Williams would bounce back a little bit after the disappointment against the Titans. And it arguably was worse. 23 for 37, 174 yards, 2 picks. I mean, a lot of balls that were thrown that probably could have been picked as well. Jack's texting us during the game. Just how much he dislikes Caleb.
He played better than I thought he did.
Well, yeah. Well, this is the thing: is if you told Bears fans before the game it's going to be a close 1-score game against the Texans the whole time, you'll have a chance to win. You won't quite get it done, but it'll be a very close game. Like, the outcome there isn't really the problem. The problem is that Caleb Williams still looks like there's a huge adjustment to the NFL, and some of the stuff, like his deep ball accuracy. I don't think there's any reason to believe he's suddenly gotten much worse at accuracy downfield. I think it's just getting used to the NFL and it will take time. But there was a lot of hope that it would be a quick transition. And it looks like Caleb Williams might be a more typical rookie.
There's a readjustment of the expectations where a lot of people thought that he would come in and set the world on fire immediately. But there's a few reasons, Jack said it earlier in the full show, Caleb is a lot of the blame's going on the Bears offensive line right now. He got sacked 7 times. I mean, he got the crap kicked out of him. He limped off the field multiple times in that game. And I think that if we're being fair, a good amount of blame goes on the O-line. A good amount of blame also has to go on Caleb because he's just making bad decisions right now.
I mean, when Fields lost, it was all his fault.
Yeah, no. Look.
You never heard anything about the offensive line when Fields lost.
No, you still heard some stuff about the O-line.
Not really.
You heard less. You definitely heard
the offensive line's also worse this year.
I know Caleb, who's horrendous, is getting the blame. His O-line getting.
So I think that the Bears' offensive line has to improve. Like that's first off has to happen. Like that. Otherwise, we're just repeating USC, where every highlight's Caleb running for his life. Now the difference is in USC, you do have guys running wide open against worse colleges. In the NFL, everyone's covered usually extremely tight. So until he gets a little better protection, it's going to be hard for Caleb to make some of the adjustments he needs to. They really should have got blown out in this. There was the fumble by Cam Akers on the 1-yard line. 19-13 is misleading. The Texans had a good grip on this game towards the end of it, but the Bears still had their opportunity and couldn't get done down the stretch. The one positive, though, for Chicago, you do have to take away that, for the most part, the defense hung in there. They had a couple big plays they allowed, but this is an explosive Houston team, and they played okay. Like, I thought that they played about as well as you could expect.
The Bears D, this Bears D was really solid, and it surprised me because for the most part, I thought they played very well against one of the better offensive teams in football. And I don't.
Nico Collins ate them alive.
Yeah, he did.
He was the one problem.
Nico Collins would eat anyone alive.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like a vicious hater, but I am. Their quarterback is not good.
It's people who expected Caleb Williams to be an MVP caliber quarterback from day one were silly. He's a rookie.
I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. I really don't.
So we'll have to see. Right. Chicago definitely had the most disappointing day of all the NFC North teams, but in Houston's a tough one. It's just going to take a little while for them to get going here. And you know what? Their next few games, you have Indianapolis, the Rams, Carolina, Jacksonville, Washington. If you had 5 games where you could bounce back, those are the 5 games you want right there.
I see 0-7.
We'll see what happens with Chicago. That offensive line needs to get better as well. Okay, so we'll wrap up there. The NFC North show. The Vikings, the Packers win. The Lions and the Bears lose. Some good takeaways for all the teams, though, but a lot of negatives as well in there. It's only week 2. There's a long way to go here. Very excited to see, the first NFC North matchup, I believe, is going to be Vikings Packers in week 4. And that could be a really big game right off the bat, one that we didn't really expect to be that big. So, all right, guys, thanks again for listening. We'll see you later for the week 3 preview.